Hello, everyone. I'm Dwayne Bonifer in the Lindsey Wilson University Office of Public Relations, and this is The View from the Hill, the podcast of Lindsey Wilson University. Every week during the academic year, The View from the Hill features conversations with some of the people who help create the dynamic living learning environment that serves the educational needs of every Lindsey Wilson student every day. In this 18th podcast of the 2025-2026 school year and the first of the 2026 spring semester, we will check in with the Lindsey Wilson Wesley Scholars. Lindsey Wilson's Wesley Scholars program reflects the university's rich church heritage and tradition. Since the founding of what was then Lindsey Wilson Training School in 1903, Lindsey Wilson has played a vital role in the development and nurturing of church leaders in Kentucky and throughout the world. Of course, Lindsey Wilson was founded by what was then known as the Louisville Annual Conference of the Methodist Episcopal Church South, which can trace its heritage to John Wesley, the founder of what today is the United Methodist Church. Today, Lindsey Wilson is one of more than 100 United Methodist-related colleges and universities located around the world. One way Lindsey Wilson celebrates its United Methodist heritage is with the Wesley Scholars program. Lindsey Wilson's Wesley Scholars are undergraduate students who major in Christian ministries and show promise to become future church leaders. They receive a scholarship for full tuition, room and board, and while on campus, Wesley Scholars, many of whom double major, contribute through their service and work in the campus's spiritual life program. To learn more about the Wesley Scholars program, you can point your internet browser to lindsey.edu/Wesley Scholars. Lindsey Wilson chaplain, the Reverend Tyler Brumfield, helps oversee the Wesley Scholars program. Tyler is going to tell us during this edition of A View from the Hill more about the Wesley Scholars, and we're also joined with a pair of Wesley Scholars from the class of 2029, Hadley Parrish of Russell Springs, Kentucky, and James Tomlinson of Somerset, Kentucky. Tyler, let's start with you. Talk a little bit about the Wesley Scholars, what they do at Lindsey Wilson, and what their role is at the university.
So here soon we'll be interviewing for Wesley Scholarship for, I guess, next academic year. Got two of them here right next to me, and you'll get to hear from them here soon. So my role here is to kind of serve as something of a coach, or I guess mentor. Am I allowed to use that word? I don't know how good I'm at the mentoring part of it, but I guess more of a coach. Part of the Wesley Scholars, it's not a passive thing, that it's something that they're learning to be leaders. It's an environment where you have permission to fail. Not that they're failing by any stretch, but you have these 4 years to experiment and try things out. I think that's one thing among the Wesleys. If you have an idea or something in your heart, try it and see how it goes, and let's learn from it. But part of it is learning leadership skills to kind of learn by doing, because that's life. That's ministry. I mean, I went to seminary for 3 years, but the reality is I had a whole lot still to learn even after getting a degree. So this is a chance to kind of give them a bit of a head start, maybe one that I didn't quite have when I was in college. And they're doing awesome. I mean, it's work. I mean, it's a full tuition. I mean, it's a pretty good deal academically, I'd like to think. But there is an expectation, 8 hours of contributing towards campus ministry each week. Forced family fun with me, where they get to come check and reflect on how things are going. And just part of it is to give them a chance, especially you'll hear from two of our freshman Wesley Scholars here soon, to not try to be, what's the whole phrase, round peg in a square hole, like not trying to say, oh, Hadley, even though she's gifted in music, we're not going to force you to be the worship leader, even though you have musical abilities, but to have a chance to try a little bit of everything. So I'm sure they'll have a chance to share with you what they've been up to, but to kind of find their place, to find their passion, to have a little bit of freedom. I mean, I try not to tell them thou shalt do this beyond, I think the two expectations are Mosaic, which is our weekly student-led worship service, emphasis on student-led. I'll preach that once a month, but other than that, they're responsible for planning it and just trying to envision what is it we're trying to accomplish this semester. So tonight we're going to go have to Fiesta Mexico, eat some tacos, and kind of talk about the semester. And that's the other part of it too. We try to find opportunities to just enjoy one another's company, that it's a team, it's collegiality. And we try to do 2 retreats each year at Camp Lucon, which is one of our United Methodist camps here in Kentucky. And those retreats are some of my favorite moments of the year, because you just see, it's a chance to kind of let you be you. You know, you don't have to, you're not in student mode or class mode. And so it's a joy of mine here. It's opportunity to help sort of pour into the next generation of leaders.
Let's meet now a couple of those Wesley Scholars that Tyler referred to. Hadley, let's start with you. Hadley, you're from Russell Springs, Kentucky. How did you wind up here at Lindsey Wilson?
I'm going to give you the straight answer. I felt like the Lord was leading me here. I was praying a lot my senior year of high school about what school to go to, and it just kind of seemed like Lindsey Wilson was the obvious choice. And then I heard about the Wesley Scholarship, and I was like, hold the phone. So I was like, let me look into this, because I knew I wanted to major in Christian ministries as well as something else, but I didn't know what that something else was. And I was like, well, look, I'm already planning on doing this, so let's go ahead and apply for the Wesley Scholarship. And I did, and then looky here, I got it, praise the Lord. But it honestly was just the Lord leading me here. Like, he lined out everything perfectly, and it's just 20 minutes down the road from my house, so if I need to go home, I can. So it's great.
You mentioned that you're a double major here at Lindsey Wilson. What is your other major other than Christian ministries?
I'm also doing human services and counseling.
So it's a little early in your college career to, I guess, talk about career plans, but how did you come up with a double major in Christian ministries and human services and counseling?
Okay, I'm going to say it again. It was the Lord. This decision for, like, school and stuff, it was largely prayed over, like, a lot. And I was praying, I was like, Lord, what do I need to do with my life? Like, I'm about to graduate high school, like, life has to start rolling, you know? And it just kind of seemed like everywhere I was turning, somebody was saying, Hadley, you would be a good counselor. You should try to do therapy for somebody, and you should be a counselor. And it was like just all these different people saying the same thing. And then I talked to a Lindsey Wilson graduate, actually. Her name's Michaela Vaughn, and she did the same thing. She did human services and counseling and Christian ministries. And I was like, okay, I can actually do this. Like, this is actually going to come together. And so I just felt like that's where the Lord was leading me.
James Tomlinson, you're from Somerset, Kentucky. How did you wind up here at Lindsey Wilson?
So Hadley has kind of a short story. I've got a very long story. So when I was about 9 years old, I was playing club soccer with Kentucky Rush Soccer out of Somerset. And one of my coaches, Alexi Pakasalo, played here. You say his name around campus, and a lot of people know him. But he kind of took me under his wing, and I was coming up here and doing personal sessions with him. And then he introduced me to a guy named Renan Ramos, and then Mustafa Fofana, who's the assistant girls coach now. And then we became a host family. And so I was just kind of always around Lindsey Wilson since I was small. And then my sister ended up going here, and then I kind of followed suit. And same as Hadley, it kind of felt like a God thing, you know. I said, God, you know, if you want me to go here, you're gonna have to open a door, and you're gonna have to make things affordable, because that's a huge part of picking a college, is making things affordable. And you know, this just, you know, coming here made sense after I got the Wesley Scholars, and he opened that door for me, and I felt like this is where he wanted me to be.
Are you also a double major here at Lindsey Wilson?
Yes, sir. I'm a psychophysiology and Christian ministries major.
How did you marry those two majors? How do they complement one another?
So I actually feel a calling into like mission work and stuff like that. And, you know, the health field is a great way to get into doing mission work and to get into some of those places that people otherwise wouldn't accept you. You know, if you bring, you know, medical support and everything like that, it's a great way to meet their physical need, but you can also meet their spiritual need as well.
You're listening to the Lindsey Wilson View from the Hill podcast. I'm Dwayne Bonifer in the Lindsey Wilson Office of Public Relations. I'm talking to folks in Lindsey Wilson's Wesley Scholars program. To learn more about this very good program, you can check it out on the World Wide Web, and you get there by pointing your internet browser to lindsey.edu/Wesley Scholars. Now let's get back to my conversation with the folks in the Wesley Scholars program. Hadley, I'll ask you this first. Talk a little bit about some of the activities you've been involved in this school year as a Wesley Scholar at Lindsey Wilson.
So I've been involved in Mosaic. That's the big campus ministry activity for the Wesley Scholars. That's every Tuesday night. And I get to actually help lead worship, which is something I love getting to do. I've been leading worship since I was in 6th grade. And so it's awesome. I get to play piano. I get to just sing. And I also get to do the technological stuff behind the little tech box back there, running slides and doing sound stuff, which is completely new for me because I'm not tech savvy at all. That is not a place where I thought that I would be serving. So that's awesome that I actually get to do that. I also get to be involved in FCA on Monday nights. That's also at 7 o'clock. And I get to be one of the small group leaders, and I also run the tech back there as well. So that's awesome.
FCA is the Fellowship of Christian Athletes,
Yes,
right?
yes, correct.
And Lindsey Wilson has a pretty good chapter, as I understand it.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who have been coming. It's just awesome. It's all the fellowship, and something that brings everybody together is that most of the people there are athletes. You don't have to be an athlete to come, but most of the people there are athletes. And so you'll have half the wrestling team there, and then you'll have half the soccer team there, and then you got some softball girls there. And it's just really good to see how all the sports teams can come together, but also some people who are not in sports like myself.
James, what about you? What are some of the activities you've been involved in on campus as a Wesley Scholar?
So the same as Hadley, I help out with Mosaic and do some things around there, but also I want to mention Alpha at 7 o'clock on Thursdays. I've been helping with that, and I'm a student leader with that, and we're actually starting to going to start a new series here in about a week or so. We're looking at starting a new series called What is a Christian? So if you're interested in that, come out and learn what a Christian is. It's a 6-week series, and I think that's going to be a really powerful time. But Alpha is just you come in and it's a Bible study, and you get to talk to people and be with like-minded individuals. And my favorite part of Alpha is just sitting back and listening to what people has to say. I know I lead it and I talk sometimes, but I like to just ask questions and hear what different perspectives are, because I think that's a powerful thing to be able to understand what different people are getting from different verses and glean different things from that.
Tyler, they've talked about a couple programs they've been involved in. Of course, there's also the weekly chapel service we have here at Lindsey Wilson. The term vibrant is kicked around a lot in higher education to describe student services programs, but Lindsey Wilson really has a vibrant campus ministry.
Thank you. It's not me. My kind of motto is let the Holy Spirit do his thing, and I'll just not get in his way. I think what I've been so encouraged by with our students is there's a hunger for spiritual conversations and spiritual life. I find that they're not looking to be entertained. They're looking for truth. They're looking for purpose. They're looking for community, and looking for authenticity. I think that's kind of my role. I've learned just to be honest about my background sometimes, because chances are I've been a college student once before, so I'm not so old that I can still remember it somewhat. And I find that that's what they respond to. And I think one thing I feel so encouraged by is nothing feels forced. Every semester is kind of a restart. But like, for example, James, I should say here, James Andrew, mentioned 2 Bible names, by the way. But he mentioned what is a Christian. And like I said, I didn't tell him to do that. That's just something like they feel. I know we talked a little bit last semester about it. Like, hey, we need something for a follow-up to Alpha for those who've been through it. As a campus ministry, we don't want you to come to like some gathering or event once and then we just you never see you again, or we dump you or something. And we want to work on following up and know that this is a community where everybody's safe. I mean, even if you're not sure what you think about God or religion or faith, I mean, you're still welcome here. I mean, we still have food. You're welcome to come eat some tacos or something with us. We just want to be a place where everybody on campus is welcome, because I believe that's what Jesus does. He extends the table wide, the welcome wide, and we want to do the same. And so it's It's a lot of fun. I just feel like I kind of get a front row seat to seeing what these two and the other Wesley Scholars do. And I'm just here in many ways. I think a coach is meant to be, the biggest cheerleader in many ways, to cheer them on, to say, hey, I see this passion in you. And again, I'm trying not to, the thing about being a Wesley Scholar and the Christian Ministries program in general, it's not like we're trying to make you be like clergy someday. Although we've had several Christian ministries who've gone on to seminary and studies, but really, how do you live out your faith as a counselor or in medicine or missions or psychophys? God bless you. I can't do all the science with that, but or others. We've had other Christian ministries majors who've been criminal justice double majors. Pretty much all of our Christian ministries majors double major in something else, because when Jesus said go into all the world and make disciples, he didn't say just go into churches or synagogues or buildings that we kind of formally think of church. It's go into all the world. So we need people of faith in the classroom and in the hospital and in counseling clinics and other things of that nature. We need people of faith in law enforcement and in business. So I think here, one of the things I really like about the Christian Ministries program is it says, yes, pastoral vocational ministry is one option, but it's not the only option. And so this is a chance for you in these 4 years to kind of think about, to perceive your own call. How is God calling you? There's an old quote by, I think, Frederick Buechner that says, your calling is where your passion and the world's deep need meet. And I'm sure I butchered that quote, but it's something to that effect. Like whatever breaks your heart and you're passionate about, you see in the world, that's probably where God's calling you. And I think that hopefully the Wesley Scholarship and campus ministry in general is a place for you to discover that over these 4 years.
Another strength, it seems to me, of Lindsey Wilson's campus ministry program is the rich diversity of faith traditions that students bring. Talk a little bit about that. It's not all Methodist or all Baptist.
I think we're Christian, which is a big tent kind of a thing. Yeah, historically we're connected to the United Methodist Church. I'm a clergy person in the United Methodist Church, but we have Baptist, Pentecostals, Methodist, I think.
Actually, I grew up in a Christian church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the above. Catholic, here and there. And so I think one of the things, at least within my branch, I always, like in Christian beliefs, I always try to think of Christianity like a tree. Jesus Christ is the roots and the trunk. That's essential. That's where all the life comes from. But there's a lot of branches. And some of our branches are bigger than others. And so my own tradition is just one branch. But one of the heart, at least of United Methodism, is to recognize the ecumenical or household nature of all faith. Whether that's Baptist, Presbyterian, non-denominational. In many ways, we all share the same roots in Christ. And so we try to embody that as well here. It's just kind of part of our DNA, and it's something that I very much value. And so, especially for the Wesley Scholarship, I should mention you don't have to be United Methodist to apply, but you do have to have a love for Jesus Christ and a desire to serve him and serve in ministry in some way. We don't tell you what that has to look like, but that has to at least be part of your calling or agenda, shall we say.
Hadley, what have you enjoyed most about your first semester and couple weeks as a Lindsey Wilson student?
My first thought is serving. That's something, I'm not always the best speaker. I don't do the best devotions or sermons, and I'm not always the best singer or piano player. There are people who are much more skilled at those things than I am. I'm not the best prayer, but I love to serve. I love to be able to show up early and set up or stay late and take things down, put things away, clean up. Just serving is probably my favorite part. That's the thing I've enjoyed the most, is just getting to serve people, and then also doing it to where sometimes people don't even realize it. They're just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's all cleaned up, perfect. And they don't have to know who it is. And I just love that. It just makes me so happy to be able to serve others.
James, what about you? What's been one of the more memorable things about being a Lindsey Wilson student for you?
The most memorable thing that can come to my mind is just seeing a hunger and a thirst for God in this community. And I think a lot of people kind of wrote off our generation as, we're falling away from God, and, we're not as Christian as other generations, and people aren't interested in religion. But I would argue that it's the exact opposite. I look around and I talk to people, and there was one day that I was up until 3 a.m. talking to people and praying for people in dorms. And it wasn't that we went out seeking it; people came to us. And so I think it's been incredible, and it's kind of given me a different outlook on things, because I'd always heard that my generation was we were the bad ones, we weren't the good people, and then I kind of see now that we do hunger. We have a hunger and a thirst for God, and whether they realize it or not, maybe they're searching for it in partying and drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. They're trying to fill that void in their life, but everybody's got that void. And now people are starting to realize that, hey, that's not fulfilling. Like, all these worldly things aren't fulfilling that void in my life. So where do I turn to? Who do I go to? And people are turning to God. And I think that has just touched my heart, and that's been such a powerful thing for me to see.
For more information about Lindsey Wilson's Wesley Scholars program, you can check it out on the World Wide Web. Their homepage is lindsey.edu/Wesley Scholars. And that's going to do it for this 18th edition of View from the Hill for the 2025-2026 school year. Also, be sure to encourage your friends, co-workers, family members, associates, and neighbors to subscribe to A View from the Hill. They can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and on the university's YouTube channel. View from the Hill is produced by Shelby Burton. She's Lindsey Wilson's Assistant Director of Public Relations and Media Producer. And until our next edition, I'm Dwayne Bonifer in the Lindsey Wilson University Office of Public Relations. Thanks so much for listening. So long, everybody, and have a nice day.